Okay, so then you have creating basic presentations. So this is kind of what we've been doing already. So you create the slides by adding or duplicating them, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. You can use the bulleted list to outline your presentation. That was one of the things that we were looking at. As soon as I went down to that, it automatically added a bullet point for me. And then you choose your slide layout based on the content that you will be entered into that slide. And then I'll show you those slide layouts again. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this out and not save it, and I'm going to start fresh. So I'm going to go to my PowerPoint presentation and see if I can find my droplets now. Well, they have just taken those off of me. Okay, so we will, oh, there it is. Just kidding. Okay, so this is your droplet layout. It's not distracting, depending on what you're going to talk about. We'll just talk about the Oklahoma weather. How about that? Now, you can add a slight color to it or a slight blue. Blue is very appeasing to the eye. It's also a very stress-free color. And so I will choose blue, and then that way my information is going to show up whether, and it'll probably stay in the black color on the text. And so I am going to put Oklahoma weather. My opinion by Kenneth Smith. Okay, so now that I have my title slide, I can come in here and I can add a new slide. Now, if I click this, it's going to automatically give me that title and the information for the content down below. Or if I wanted to do a comparison, then I could do my comparison here, or content with caption, picture with caption, one or the other, or I can come in here on different columns. So right now we're just going to keep this one a little bit simple, and we'll just do title and content. This one, depending on the template that you choose, this one automatically centers my information, and it automatically capitalizes every letter in there. So I don't have to worry about, you know, any of that like going back and redoing it. So here I'm going to put, did the groundhog really see his shadow? Okay, so down here I'm going to talk about 6 weeks less of winter. Because if you are watching this from Oklahoma, we are in the middle of actual March, and we are still having snow on the ground. So it's been kind of crazy, and I think the groundhog was wrong. So 6 weeks less of winter, question mark. And then where is our spring? And the ups and downs. Okay, so people are going to look at this and they're going to say, okay, so we're going to talk about 6 weeks less of winter. Like, what are we talking about there? Where's our spring? How are we really getting into this information? And then the ups and downs. So your audience is going to be very confused if you just show them this slide, but you know what you're going to talk about, and the audience is going to be paying attention to you. So if we only have this amount of information, I would say that we need to go ahead and come up here in our home screen, highlight all of this. Again, you can take your mouse and highlight everything, or you can come down here and do Control A, and that highlights everything that's in this box. And then I will come in here and I will say 35. Okay, and I may, so here's our information, and I know that this is my little, I don't know if I can find my mouse again. Okay, so here's my box, and I know that I can take this box and I can bring it over like this. Okay, so I can shorten this box. Then I can come in here and do an insert, pictures. Whoops. We'll do pictures online. And you can either go from your OneDrive or you can go from there, but I may do like a groundhog on a picture. And then we'll put him as he's still a little chilly. Oh, it's not really February 2nd, but we'll catch the drift. So he's going to be here on my little groundhog. And then I may want to come in here and insert like something that has to do with springtime. This looks like spring. Spring is coming. Whoop. Now, I would say not to have your pictures overwhelm your slides themselves. That's not what you want because you don't, again, want it to be distracting. But a little bit of a groundhog and then a little bit of spring. It gets the juices flowing of like, oh, now I see where we're going with this. And it kind of engages that audience to look at your slide again. And you can take this groundhog and if you wanted to make him smaller and then just, you know, put him maybe up here in the corner. And then we're talking about our groundhog and then where's our spring? So maybe spring needs to come over here a little bit. Okay. And so the only thing is that I will say with using a colored backdrop, a lot of your insert pictures are going to have a white background. So some of them might look a little bit funny, but that's, you can either find something or you can change your background. Either which way. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. So now we have our information on our first slide and we know what we're going to talk about. And we know that this is how we're going to do our presentation. So now we're ready for the next slide. So again, we can either hit new slide, or we can go ahead and drop this down and we can add maybe 2 contents. I actually want to change this now because I noticed that I did the title slide and then I did the 2 contents, but I need some titles over it. So I'm going to go to layout in the same area. And now I want this one that has my comparison with it. Okay, so I'm going to say winter weather. And I'm going to say February 2018, oops, 19. And then over here, I'm going to do March 2019. Okay, so now I have the information where I can do like a comparison. And I can add in charts, but again, we'll go over that later, not a big deal. So these are the types of things that you can go through and go in. Here, I would probably center this up. So same way that you would do it in Excel or in Word, you just hit your center tab here and it just looks a little neater. Here is your bullet points. So again, once you start typing your information, and then you could do like 5 inches of snow already. Okay. So there's your bullet points. There's where it's listed. If you wanted to take this and do an underline and make it look a little bit neater, not necessary. People can usually see that information. And then there's your second slide. Okay, so there's how you enter your layouts, how you use your bullet points, and how the slide, oh, duplicating them. Let me show you that. So if I don't want to continue, like I need this next one to be the same information as this slide, and then I just add different information, or even if I want it to say the same title and the same information, then what I would do here is I would go to layout. Nope. I would go here, sorry. I'd go to new slide, and instead of clicking it, I would drop that button down and I would go duplicate on selected slides. And then there's my duplicate right here. Okay. So if you had that and you wanted to, if you had like a title slide only, or you had this set up the way that you wanted it to with no information in it, and you wanted to duplicate this. Okay, so you know that you're still doing a comparison on winter weather in between 2019 of February and March. Then you could go here, you could drop down your new slide button, and then you can go duplicate slide here. And that way all of that is still there for you as far as a format goes, and you won't have to worry about redoing it or retyping it each and every time. So if you're still talking about a specific subject, so you could even go winter weather, and then all my information is still there, and then I would put continued. Okay, so that might be something, but I only have to add like a couple of letters and some dots. Like, it's not that big of a deal. If I come in here, I can actually just hit either, if I decide that this isn't the one that I wanted to duplicate, I could actually delete it. Okay, or I could right click and hit delete slide right here. I don't want to delete that one just yet. You know, or you could come in here and you could reuse the slide. And it's like, where do you want to reuse it? So you have a lot of tools that you can use in your PowerPoint slides and information and everything.